folks, this live stream is brought to you by my sponsor AAA FX. Now, they're a fully regulated broker in Europe and South Africa offering Forex indices, commodities, crypto, and over 100 stocks. Now, at AAA FX, you pay no commission on any Forex pair using their ECN Plus account and low commissions on cryptos and stocks. Plus, you can deposit with cash or crypto, get a free VPS with deposits over 5K, and easily integrate the well-known copy trade service Zulu Trade. While you're waiting for the stream to start, go and check them out by clicking the link in the description, comments, or visit AAAFX.com.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing good, and I'm happy to be back. Thank you so much, Cam, for the opportunity as usual. Let me share my screen real quick. Hope you can see it now. Let me double check. Keep an eye on the comments. If you have any questions, if you want to request a specific instrument, I would be happy to do it. As usual, for those who already know, we do these overviews once a month, and we do it live. So if you have any questions, you can ask live now. I will highlight your comment like this, for example. Hello Ahad, hope you're doing good. Vinay, hope you're doing good. Fantastic. You're welcome. And we start with the Forex pairs, as you can see from the watch list on the right. Of course, we'll remove it in a bit to see the full screen. But first of all, we'll go over the XY, which I always start with to feel the overall market, which is the USD index. And then we'll go over some major pairs, Euro USD, GBP USD, gold, USD JPY, and a couple of JPY pairs, and so on. Next, the second part would be going over the indices, US 500, US 100, and as you can see on the list, if you want me to add a specific index, let me know, I will add it. If you want me to add a specific Forex pair, also let me know. Okay, so we'll go over them by order. Okay, so first of all, if you have any Forex pair request or a question, feel free to ask it now, because once we start with the indices, we can't really go over backward, right, and go over a Forex pair. And last but not least, of course, we'll check the crypto market. We'll start with total USD dominance, Bitcoin and Ethereum to feed the overall market, and then I'll try to go over some altcoins. Also, feel free to request a specific one. So let's check the comment one last time before we start. Sure. We'll go over gold, of course, as usual. And before we start, for those who know me, as usual, cheers. Yes, gold it is. Julian, gold. Okay, everyone is focusing on gold lately. Yes, JPY, we have it on the list already. GBP JPY, I don't think I have it, but I'll add it. Let me check. We've got GBP AUD and Euro GBP, but let me add GBP JPY as well. Okay, fantastic. Drag it upwards so not to forget it. And here we go. Okay, let's start with the XY axis. We've got a lot to cover today because I always like to go over the entire market, like indices, Forex, crypto. Even if you want a stock, I can do it for you, right? I like to give you, at the beginning of the month, a quick overview about the entire market. It depends on what you trade, but for example, if you only trade Forex, I also recommend that you watch the entire one, because you'll get a practical feeling on what to do. Okay, so let's do it. On the XY to feed the overall market, we can see US weakness lately, especially after filling this supply zone, which we highlighted last month, if you remember, for those who watched the previous one. It was also respected multiple times here, a resistance, a support, a resistance as well. So this entire zone is a resistance and a supply zone. So price went up, filled it, we had a wick, so we had a nice monthly rejection candle. If you zoom into weekly time frame, we're expecting now a bearish movement to the previous rejection zone, which would be this resistance, right? And also previously acted as a resistance, as support, and lately anyway, for market structure perspective, price has been respecting this area pretty well. broken upward. Now it's acting as a support zone, right? So we are expecting a rejection from the upper rejection zone till the lower one. Of course, if this area is broken downward, then a movement further lower will be expected. Then we'll be expecting like a shift in momentum from bullish to bearish. But we know that the XY has been very strong lately for the previous couple of months. Let me drag this one lower so that you can see dates. And if you go to weekly time frame, this is it. You can't really add much except that this is the last low. Also a demand zone, as we had an aggressive movement output from it. So this entire area is not only a resistance turned support from monthly, but also a demand zone from weekly. So this is a massive zone where we're expecting the bulls to make a correction or to drag the price upward. Meanwhile, from daily time frame, we are still overall bullish, right? We are trading inside this rising channel. We had our first impulse, our second impulse, and we are simply now in a correction phase. Just like previously, impulse, a correction, an impulse, and we are currently here in this correction. So we'll be expecting a movement upward from here. But for the bulls to take over, we still need to see a break above the last major high, which would be around this area, this entire zone. We need a break above it. In this case, we'll be expecting further movement upward. Just like here, for example, as you can see, broken upward, traded higher, broken upward, traded higher. Okay, so if we have this break, which we can see better anyway from lower time frames, if you zoom into H4, you can see that this is our last high for now. If we break it upward, in this case, we'll be expecting further movement upward. Of course, we'll be expecting then like everything, like for example, slash USD, right, will be going down. Okay, this is why we start with the XY to feel the overall market. If the XY is going down, like basically the stock market or like everything would be going up, like of course like the indices and so on. So this is why we start with that. No matter what market you trade, it's always good to feel the market by starting with the XY. So from daily perspective, we are currently still bullish. This is simply a correction. The bears took over here. We are trading lower. If we break below this area here, which is the previous low and previous high, if we break it lower, then a movement inside this support area from weekly and monthly, as we like started by mentioning it. In this case, a movement lower would be expected in this area. But for now, this is still a support intersection of the previous lows, a demand zone, and also intersection with the lower trend line in brown. Okay, so this is still a support. For the bears to take over, we need to see a break below it, or for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above it. Now, the exact opposite pair, which is EURUSD. If we start with the monthly time frame, we know that we rejected the one round number, as you clearly see, which is here. Okay, so if you look left, we see that this was also a demand zone, the exact opposite of the XY. If you go to the XY, you see that we have a supply zone and a very similar shape to this demand zone that we see right here. So we rejected this one round number, and we previously, if you remember, we're looking for buy setups around this area, around the one. On weekly time frame, I can't really add much except that just like the XY, this is simply a correction phase. Okay, so an impulse, a correction, impulse, correction, and so on. So this is simply a correction until the last major high is broken upward. We are still bearish, and in fact, we are bearish starting from here. Okay, we had a higher high, a higher low. The price failed to make a higher high, instead made a lower high, which gave us an early alert that a potential reversal might happen, which was confirmed by breaking below this last major low. Then now we are bearish. So for now, if you follow the same logic, the last major high, of course, from weekly would be around this one here. Of course, unless we form a new swing high, then it would become here. But for now, as per the current market structure, the last major high is around this area. If you zoom into daily time frame, we are currently stuck inside a consolidation for the last couple of days or weeks. If you go to the XY, we can also see it, a consolidation here. Okay, so we are currently stuck here, and we are looking for trend following setups. If you remember previously, we were looking for buy stops here because it was the intersection of the one round number, the lower trend line in like orange, and the lower trend line in blue, which is this bearish trend. So around this area, to me, I consider it as an oversold area. That's why we'll be looking for a reversal, and it would only be a correction. So you are basically buying the correction, just like here, for example. But since it's from daily time frame, you can in fact like catch a big RR, even if it's a correction. Anyway, let's focus on the current like market conditions. We're currently stuck here, and as you can see from this arrow here, as you approach this area, I'll be looking for setups, and I'll be looking, okay, I insist on the word looking, because no matter how strong a resistance is, we can still break it upward, or we might still trade inside it to fill especially this supply zone before we trade lower. But this area indeed is a massive resistance zone, especially that from a market structure perspective, it's also like lining up with the previous lows. Okay, so this area here is the intersection of the previous lows, a resistance zone, the upper trend line in blue acting as a non-horizontal resistance. So this in fact is a massive resistance zone. So as we approach it, we'll be looking for the setups. Of course, meanwhile, we're inside the range, so we'll be trading the range upward and downward until eventually this range is broken upward or downward. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we can see it even like better. If you break it upward, okay, it doesn't mean that the bulls took over, okay, because we've got a massive resistance around here. So if we trade higher, it would mean just like one more impulse movement, but it doesn't mean that the bulls took over from a long-term perspective. Yes, the bulls are still in control from a medium-term perspective inside this correction, just like this area here, okay. But if you break it higher, for example, we broke above this last major high, okay, but like we aren't bullish now because we still are trading inside this big bearish trend. So if you break it higher, we'll just maybe go and dive inside the zone, which I as mentioned previously, fill the supply and then trade lower from here. Okay, anyway, when this happens, like we'll check the price action and so on, but usually when this happens, for example, we'll get like this and then break below it and we trade lower from here. For example, just like previously, like this is a perfect example. Here we go, right? So we broke it upward, traded higher from the consolidation, broke it downward, and we traded lower. A classic test to it. We're looking for sell setups around this area. Anyway, okay, fantastic. So let me move this one aside. Okay, perfect. So now as price approaches this area, we'll be looking for sell setups. This is long story short, okay? So we can draw a trend line here following the latest price action. We can make an offset for it if you want to make it as a channel, okay? Or you can keep it simple and keep it as a trend line. For now, this trend line, of course, it's showing us the overall direction. We are currently bullish and we'll be waiting for the bears to take over. For example, if this happens, a major low from M30 or H1 is broken downward, then I'll be selling Euro USD, especially that we also got a rejection from this area. In this case, when the sell is activated, my stop loss would be above the previous swing high, and we target at least a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, which happens to be that we can still, or we have some room to reach 2R before reaching the lower bound of our range, which we saw previously multiple rejections from it. But we know that the bulls took over by breaking this area, and we are currently here stuck inside this range. Okay. Meanwhile, this is why we wait for extra confirmation that the bears are taking over, because meanwhile, until this happens, until we have a break below the trend line and below the last major low, we can still trade higher like this and dive inside this resistance zone. In this case, we'll be looking for some setups around this area. Okay, so I want to shift in momentum from here because for now, I'm bullish from a short-term perspective, approaching a resistance. That's why I'm looking for sell setups. Okay. The comments real quick before we move forward. Okay, Tevin, of course, we'll go over your JPY. King Duncan, USD ZAR. I'm not really sure if I can do it because I have to do it from scratch because I don't have it usually on my list. But you know what? I'll add it at the bottom. Okay, and if we have time, of course, we'll go over it. This is USD ZAR, and this is, here we go. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Let me check the comments. Pepe, morning, hope you're doing good. NAS 100, of course, US 100, As you can see, it's on the list, but we'll go over it when we start the indices. Okay, this is it here. Now let's move forward with our forex pairs to do it. Okay, starting from now, since we know we are in the market from the XY, okay, we'll get it faster because we already know where we are. So let's go for the potential setups that we are looking for. On your USD, we are still waiting for the price to approach the resistance. We are bullish from a short-term perspective, but approaching a resistance zone. However, on GBP USD, we are currently around the support area. We can see it from weekly. It's a massive one. We've got multiple rejections from it. Okay, this is GBP USD weekly time frame. If you go to daily time frame, this is it. You can see this previous low. Okay, broken downward, a classic retest to it, and now broken upward, and we are currently retesting it. Okay, so if you want, it's forming like a giant head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulders pattern. That's our head, that's our left and right. But anyway, this is just an idea that we might have the right shoulder. But from a longer term perspective, if you break above this high here, then we'll have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish finally on GBP USD. Okay, but for now, let's take it step by step. We are still bearish from a long-term perspective. We still got our lower highs, okay, and our lower lows, okay. Yes, we broke above this, a minor one. We can see it better from H4 time frame. So yeah, we are currently in a correction movement from a short-term perspective, but this can result simply in a trend continuation to the downside. Okay, the bears took over here. Starting from here, we are currently bearish. But for now, we are looking for a trend following buy from a short-term perspective because we are bullish from a medium-term perspective if you want. But from a longer-term perspective from daily, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the 1.235. When we have this break, then we can finally say that, yeah, now we are bullish and we'll be expecting exactly the opposite of this one, a big impulse, a correction. We'll be looking for a trend following buy, looking for a correction sell, a trend following buy, a trend following buy, a correction sell, and so on. Okay, so this is why it's very important to start from the higher time frames to know where you are in the market and what you are looking for. Are you looking for a sell? Are you looking for a correction, or are you looking for a trend following one? Of course, if you are conservative, always go with the trend. But of course, especially if you go for a correction, right? Especially from a bigger time frame, it would be an entire trend from a lower time frame. Okay. So for example, this is simply a correction from daily. But if you zoom in, for example, to H1, you will see an entire bullish trend. Okay. Anyway. So this is now acting as a support zone, as mentioned from daily time frame. We've got our support and resistance now acting as support. If you go to H4 time frame, you can see it even better. Support, resistance, now acting as support. So we're expecting this movement upward, and around this area, we monitor price action to see if we get this break. Then we'll be looking for a buy on the retest, and meanwhile, around this area, we'll be looking for a sell around the resistance zone. If you go to H1 time frame, I can't really add much except that we've got a falling broadening wedge forming. Of course, it could be a channel like this if you go for this one. For now, this is our last high. Okay, so if this one is broken upward, we'll be expecting further movement upward till this zone. Okay, of course, stop loss will be here, and you will target this area, which would be at least double your stop loss size. Okay, so the idea is our main job as traders, right, is to find a niche, is to put the odds in our favor. So we've got two ways to do it. The first way, the first way is from a technical perspective. So I want to look for a strategy or want to look for an area. That's why we start from the higher time frames to look for rejection zones. Okay, so I want to look for areas where to look for a buy, for example, here. So here in this case, the probability is that price should or would or could, okay, go up more than down. Of course, price can still break it down and so on, but until we have this break, probability is that the price would reject this zone. Okay, this is how you put the odds in your favor, by looking for a buy around the support or looking for a buy when you are overall bullish. Okay, this is your first main job. Okay, so to know where you are and to look for areas around key rejection levels. The second edge would be from a risk management perspective. Okay, so you have to target more than you lose, because like it's not how much you win and how much you lose, it's how much you win when you win and how much you lose when you lose. Okay, anyway, let's go to gold, right? Since many people requested it. Anyway, I have it. I always have it on my list. I always keep an eye on gold. So from weekly time frame, okay, and like if you want, I've posted multiple analysis on gold. If you go to my trading view, you can go to filter ideas, you can search for it. It's like the first one, Owanda. If you click on it, you can check all the gold ideas that I've posted previously. Okay, that's right around the support. If you break it down, it wouldn't be good at all. And while we're looking for buy stops around the 1700 and so on. Okay, and this is it, a strong rejection ahead around the 1700. Anyway, if you go to the current price, here we go. So we have this zone here, which is a massive support. We can see it from weekly. Many rejections from it, was acting as a resistance previously, broken up. You know what? Let me delete this one. Here we go. That's it. Okay. A resistance previously, broken upward, support multiple times, and price rejected the 1700. Next, our next resistance would be around this area, which you can also clearly see from weekly time frame. We've got this one keeps showing up. Okay, so this resistance here previously, resistance here, support multiple times, and price broke it upward. Okay, so now 1750 is currently a support area, so on the retest of it, we'll be looking for buy setups. And yes, from a long-term perspective, we are still bearish, right? We've got the previous low broken here. That's our first impulse. That's a correction. That's our second impulse, and we are currently in this correction. Okay, this is from weekly. Of course, from daily, the bulls took over. This is we are bullish now, which we can see this uptrend. So we broke above. Come on. We broke above the 1750, and here we'll be looking for trend following buy setups to catch this movement. But we still got this major last high from weekly, which is also a support and resistance, as you can see. So around this area, we'll be looking for a sell. Okay, so this is my trading plan for gold. If you have this retest, looking for a trend following buy, and around this area, looking for a sell, until eventually this area will be broken upward. In this case, we'll be expecting what? A long-term bullish movement. Of course, especially later on, if you break above this entire range. But when we break above this, we'll be expecting a movement upward. And here, if we break it upward, we'll be expecting further movement. So now, if you go to daily time frame, as mentioned, we broke above this high. We are currently here. We've got this supply zone, this previous lows. So we might find rejection here. Okay, find rejection here to what? For the correction to start. And then here, we'll be looking for a trend following buy. Okay, of course, still around this area. Okay, because we might find rejection around here for the correction to start. That's basically it. Unless, okay, so we are bullish now. We broke above these. This, if you want to call it an inverse and shoulders, okay, like it's a weird looking one, but it's still a inverse and shoulders. So we are currently bullish, and we would be bullish unless, okay, unless something happens and we break back below the support, okay, which would also be a break below this last major low of this channel. Okay, if we break below it, below this, it wouldn't be good. It would be a fake out here and would be trading further lower till around the support area again. But for now, we are bullish. Yes, we can break this trend line downwards. In this case, the correction would start, as I showed you previously, these last lows, the supply zone. We can reject it, break it downward, but it wouldn't mean that we are now expecting a big impulse to the downside. Okay, just like previously, impulse, correction, impulse. It wouldn't mean that. For this to start, for the next impulse movement to start, we need a break below this. Okay, if you break below this trend line, it will also only mean a correction, and instead, around here, I'll be looking for a trend following buy to the upside. It would be an impulse, correction, impulse. Okay, so this is basically it for gold. For now, what we know is we are bullish. Previously, we had an impulse, correction, impulse, and we are currently here. Let me check the comments. Wow, we've got many comments today. Create only big area for find entries. Sorry. Any tips to be more patient? Yes. Well, like it depends on you. Like you have to find tricks that works with you best. Okay. So, but yeah, mainly you want to look for a support and resistance from a higher time frames because you want a big impact from it, right? You want to catch a big trade. Okay. So, for example, as you can see from the chart, the 1700 was a big support zone, a massive one. We can see it very clearly from weekly. So because it's from weekly and of course from daily, we can expect weekly movements, like weekly swing, which means a couple of months. Okay, so this is why I start from the higher time frames for the big picture, and then I zoom into a lower time frame like M30 and H1, and again, it depends on you on how like deep you want to zoom in, how fast you want to zoom in. Okay, so but basically, yeah, like if you want a trick would be like to identify your zones, put alerts there, and don't look at the chart anymore. Okay, so once you get your alerts, once the alert goes off, then you are around a resistance, then you zoom into lower time frames. Okay, you always start by checking the XY. Why do you do this? Like the XY is the USD index, and basically like everything is slash USD. Okay, so like this is why if you feel the market, if the XY is doing well, is going higher, like you'll be expecting the entire market, crypto market, like the indices, the stock markets to like go lower, and of course the forex market, because you've got Euro, USD, GBP, USD, and so on. Okay, so this is why it's very important to know where you are in the market, and like to and like how I say it, to feel the market from the DXY. Yes, exactly. So Zeb answered yes. Sorry about that. Didn't notice. Uh, exactly. Fantastic, guys. You answered my question. Sorry, I didn't read it previously. Bruce, please do Ethereum. Of course, we'll go over ETH when we go over the crypto market. GP, JPY. Okay, Romeo. I've added to the list. It's on the list. US 30, of course, we'll go over it when we go over the indices. So like now, when we finish the Forex pair, we'll go over the indices. US 100, 500, 30, and so on. What are we expecting for the upcoming CPI? Like I'm not like the right like person to answer this because I'm a pure price action trader. Okay. Romeo and the CAD. Okay, Romeo, we already requested GBP JPY and we've got big list, so let's see if we can do NZD as well. For now, let's move forward. Let's get faster to cover as much as possible, right? Now on USD JPY, and if you remember, I showed you this. What is it? Here we go, right? So like I've explained the correlation between gold and GP and JPY. Sorry. Okay, so if you're expecting a rejection from here, you would be expecting bearish movement on JPY pairs, right? So like if gold like gets stronger, usually JPY the yen as a currency will get stronger. That's why like since always the JPY is the quote. That's why the USD pairs will be going down because JPY will get stronger when gold also gets stronger. Okay, so we're expecting this. The purple one, if we break below it, it wouldn't be good, which didn't happen. Instead, we rejected this area upwards. Okay, so now, as long as gold keeps trading higher, we'll be expecting the JPY pairs to trade lower, especially that they have been trading in the same direction for a long period of time. If you go to USD JPY, we rejected this area here, right? Okay, let me take a sip. Cheers. Okay, so like the 135 is a rejection area. We're looking for setups around it. We rejected it. If you go to daily time frame, here we go. We broke below this low here, and we've got this last major low around this area, right? So for the bears to take over from a long-term perspective on JPY pairs and expect a big bearish trend, we need a break below this low. Okay, so previously we had a low, a higher low, a higher low. This was the major low. Then now this is our last major low. Yes, we broke below this low, but like now the bears took over from a medium-term perspective. From a long-term perspective, to have a full shift in momentum from bullish to bearish, I would like to see a break below this low right here, which is also lining up with the previous high, low, and now price lately rejected it. Okay. Now we are bearish, right? We broke below this. Okay, we had our first impulse. I'm expecting another impulse movement downward, and hopefully this next impulse movement downward will break below this area. In this case, this correction phase, okay, would be extended to be what? To be the first impulse which breaks below this low, and then we'll be expecting this movement. Okay, so this is how the shift in momentum starts. We break below like a low, but like not the biggest low, like the major low. We break below the low, and then correction starts, and the correction would be extended, breaking below this. Then it would become the first impulse movement, which we will see better from, for example, from weekly. You will see like one impulse. Anyway, from daily time frame, we broke below this. Now we are retesting it. That's why we'll be looking for a trend following sell. Of course, knowing that USD JPY can set it a little bit higher to fill this supply. Okay, it can be like this, or it can be a bigger one like this. Okay, so this entire area to fill it before going down. Anyway, we don't sell blindly. Okay, we zoom into lower time frames and look for sell setups around this area. So that's basically it. We are looking for a sell. If you go to H1 time frame, we have a channel forming. So like as per my trading plan, I'll be waiting for a new swing like this, and then I'll be selling on to break downward. And you can see this pattern all over the place. Okay, you can see this pattern like on all JPY pairs. If you, for example, check if you check like CAD JPY, search FJPY, AD JPY, right? You can see a rising channel now approaching what? A supply zone. Okay. And after we have the impulse which broke below the previous low. Okay, there was a major low from H4, but the major one from daily isn't broken yet. So we're expect anyway. I already explained it to you. Meanwhile, and until this happens, until the bears break below the channel and the last low from H1, JPY pairs would be overall bullish, and we can still trade higher like this, for example, like this, and form a new low around this area before breaking it down. Okay, so that's why we wait like for the market to make the first move, and then we react accordingly. Let's go to JPY pairs faster because like they form this almost the same pattern. So on CAD JPY, that's our last major low. Okay. From daily time frame, yes, we broke below this, but to have an entire shift in momentum, because like as you can see, the bullish trend is like so huge that of course a break below one minor low wouldn't be responsible of the entire shift in momentum. Just like this, below the previous low, we traded lower, but it didn't break below this one. Okay, we broke below this, we traded lower, but we didn't break below this one, which is the last major low. We broke below this, but we didn't break below this one. Okay, we broke below this, but we didn't break below this one. Okay, this is why it's very important to know if this low is a major one or not. Okay, so now this is our major low right here, which is lining up with the support and resistance, and also the round number 100. Anyway, for now, we broke below this, we are retesting it, we have a supply zone, here we go, an aggressive movement down from it, price is going up, we'll be looking for the sell. Okay, if you go to H4 time frame, I can't really add much. We had a wedge pattern broken down, retesting it, looking for a sell. Okay, nothing special to add. Here we go. On H1 time frame, we are forming this channel just like USD JPY. We can trade higher from here, like fill it before forming a new low, and then break it downward. That's the first scenario. We would be selling basically on the trend line break and the last major low break. Okay, of course from H1, because like we are going to enter the sell, or the second scenario would be forming a new swing here, go upward, and then break it downward. Okay, but not mainly we are looking but mainly we are looking for a sell. We are looking for a major low to form and then a break below it. Okay, this is what we are waiting for almost on all JPY pairs. CHF JPY already diving inside the supply zone, as we clearly see. Okay, which is also the all-time high. So if you go to monthly, right, this is it. Okay, so like this is the highest point this one has reached from 1995. Okay, of course, if we break above these highs, then we'll be trading higher till the upper rejection, which is the 150 round number. These upper trend lines, which is like helping us feel the overall the overall market, which I also consider this area as an overbought area. Okay, but I can't really add much from as rejection areas, because we don't really have like multiple rejections from it, only like an all-time high. But from daily time frame, this is it. A low here, right? We broke it downward. We are currently testing, looking for a trend following sell, but the last major low is here. Okay, so to have a shift in momentum from a long-term perspective, we need a break below this low right here. Oh, oops. Okay, right here. Now, this is a signal that the bears took over. Now retesting it, looking for a trend following sell. We can also draw like a channel. Here we go, which is engulfing now this overall bearish movement. Okay, which is basically this impulse, correction, impulse. We are currently in this correction, looking for this impulse, right? So and like yeah, like this is lining up perfectly with the upper trend line here and the supply zone. So this is a perfect area to look again. No matter how strong a rejection is, we always look for sell setups. We don't sell blindly. Okay, here we go. M30 time frame, just like CAD JPY and USD JPY, waiting for this new swing low and then a break below it. Or of course, we might trade higher from here, do this, form a new low here, and then break it downward. Okay, so basically, I want a low to be broken downward for the next impulse movement to start. For now, as you can see, even if you zoom in, like the last lows aren't being broken downward. But of course, like this is just like a minor low. I would like to see a major low broken. So this is a minor, like these are minor lows. This is the last low, right from M30. So I don't want like a minor low to be broken, but like a minor low broken downward. And as you can see, we have a big channel. Of course, this minor low wouldn't be responsible of this big bearish trend. Okay, so it would take more than that to form this bearish movement, which would be a break below a major low, which would be in this example this low here. But I would like to see this, and then a break below it to break the trend line and the last low at the same time. Because if you break this, right, would have this trend line here, which might, of course, price can still break it downward, but it might hold it up to form a new swing before playing lower. So this is basically what I'm looking for, this swing right here. Of course, it can be here, it can be upward, but you've got the idea. The last JPY pair, the last JPY pair is AV JPY. If you go to weekly time frame, like if you remember previously from like the last month, we were looking for such setups around this area because it's the intersection of the upper trend line in brown and what is it? Here we go, a resistance zone. Also a supply zone here, as we had an aggressive and also a gap around this area. Anyway, even if you don't have a rejection zone, we would have what I consider an overbought area, which is the upper bound of the channel. Okay. Anyway, if you go to daily time frame, here we go. Just like previously, a supply zone here, looking for a sell setup. If you go lower to H4, can't really add much. If you go to H1, here we go, the exact same channel. This is it. Okay. So waiting for this and then sell on its break downwards. Let me check the comments before I go over the remaining exotic ones. And okay, please explain the correlation between gold and USD. Like of course, usually if gold goes up, the XY goes down, and vice versa. But of course, like we have some exceptions. It depends on the situation worldwide. But usually, from a correlation perspective, if the XY goes up, like people would lose interest in gold, right? Like instead, like they would go for and buy like the USD currency, and vice versa. If the USD currency is losing value, people in this case would shift to gold. Okay. US oil, yes, we have US oil on our list. When we go over the indices, I also added US oil there. The XY interesting, fantastic. Your answer is good, sir. Thank you so much. Glad you are enjoying it. Thanks for the answer. Yes, it also affects the indices just like the stock market. If the XY goes down, okay, you will see the indices going up. For example, let me give you a quick example. What is it? Here we go. So you can see now lately the XY has been going down, right? While previously it was going up. So I've got up, down, right? And of course we have a big bullish trend. If you check the US 500, we've got what? A big bearish trend, right? Here we go. A big bullish. Oops. Of course, like this is daily. If you go to weekly, for example, because this is weekly as well. So you can clearly see like the correlation. We have been bullish for a while. On the XY, we have been bearish for a while. Oops. On the US 500. Lately, from weekly, this is a bearish movement, and on US 500, this is a bullish movement. Okay, so this is basically it. Where we were on EuroSatChef, yeah. Let me go for the remaining comments. Did he do any? No, Sia, we didn't go over the indices yet. I'll go over it just like after. Like we still have like 2 or 3 Forex pairs. What about Euro JPY? I'll try it. Yeah, like on Euro JPY, we've got a very similar movement, but I will not go over it because we already went over 4 JPY pairs. Okay. Exactly. Thanks for the answer. Can you analyze Euro AD? I'm not really sure. Anyway, I'll add it to the list. But like we've still got a big list. But anyway, I can't really say no. I don't know why, but let's go and add it. I'll go over it really quick. Okay. Okay, we've got two Euro pairs. We'll go over Euro AUD as well. Okay, baby, fantastic, Siva. Thank you for the answer. You're more than welcome, Paul. Happy that you're enjoying it. Okay. Thank you so much, Pablo. Pablo is reminding you to hit the like button to help this video reach as many traders as possible. So don't forget to hit the like button. Okay, let's move forward. We've got multiple Forex pairs still before we go over the indices real quick. So on EuroSatChef, we are currently sitting around the all-time low, which you can see around 0.97, right? Which was the previous wick, like previously from 2015, right? So this aggressive movement downward. So this is not only the all-time low, not only a wick which is being filled, but also an event. And usually when you have such events, right, and like people will remember this area that this happened when this happened, right? So this is why this is a very strong area, because it's the wick being filled, an all-time low obviously, and an event. Anyway, we are currently around it, looking obviously for buy setups. Okay, however, we are clearly bearish from a long-term perspective. This is weekly time frame, a big impulse movement, a correction, a big impulse movement. So now we're expecting what? A correction. Of course, a correction from weekly would mean like a big bullish trend from lower time frames, right? So like this correction took from April to like March. Okay, like this, it took from April to April, so like took exactly 1 year. Okay, so now we're looking, anyway, let's take it step by step. Now we're looking for buy setups here, because we are around the all-time low, we are around the lower band of this channel, and so on. If you go to daily time frame, this is the last low, which was broken downward. We saw it battle from weekly. This is it. Okay, it can act as a potential resistance zone. It also happens to be what? The round number 1. Okay, so this is a massive zone that for the bulls to take over and start the long-term correction, we need a break above this one. Okay. Meanwhile, we are bearish from a short-term perspective, right? We can see it better from lower time frames. From H4, we are bearish. Price keeps on making lower highs and lower lows. Okay. So from a short-term perspective, or from a medium-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, we obviously need to see a break above this high. Okay, if you go to H1 time frame where you had this channel, we broke above this minor one, we traded higher, we then rejected this one here. So yeah, for the bulls to take over and start this bullish trend till around this area, which is the previous major, a low and high from weekly, we need a break above this area here. Okay, so I'm personally waiting for this break, and or if we trade lower around this area again to retest this zone, we'll be looking for buy setups also from shorter or from faster time frames. On Euro GBP, we are overall bearish now. Okay, we were bullish previously. We from H4 we had this bullish trend. We broke below the previous low. Anyway, you can see it better and cleaner from daily time frame. Impulse correction, and so on. Failed to make a higher high. Instead, made a lower high. Early alert that a potential reversal might happen. A break below the previous lows. Break. Classic retest, we traded lower. So that's our first impulse responsible of the shift in momentum. A classic retest to it, looking for a sell here. We broke it downward. Now looking for a trend following sell right here. Okay, so we are currently bearish impulse correction, waiting for the next impulse or looking for a sell to catch the next impulse. If you go lower to H4, we can see a channel, as you clearly see from my chart. We also got a supply here, a resistance zone, as you saw from daily time frame, looking for a sell. Okay, so now this is our last, sorry about the noise, waiting for this break. This is the last major low. Here we go. Let me add it to, here we go. Okay, so waiting for this break below this area to enter the sell. For now, we have a double top pattern. Of course, we might have an head and shoulders. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Or if we trade higher like this and form, for example, any reversal pattern, we can also enter the sell right here. So that's my trading plan. If you trade higher, I'll be waiting for a like this, because we'll be filling this supply. Here we go. Okay, or if you trade lower from here, break this one, then the bears will take over as well. Euro AUD, someone requested this one. Euro AUD weekly time frame. Here we go, bearish. We previously broke below this support, a massive one, has been holding for a long period of time, broken downward, retested it, traded lower. Okay, so we are obviously bearish after this impulse correction to the resistance, and we trade it lower. So now on Euro AUD, as we approach this zone, we would have this next impulse movement, and we'll be looking for a correction right here. But for now, we are bearish. As we approach this area, I'll be looking for a buy. If we retest this area again, I'll be obviously looking for a sell. If you go to daily time frame, I can't really add much except that we broke below this and this. Let's keep it cleaner. Okay, so now I'm what I would like to see is a movement lower than this arrow, as you can see. In this case, I'll be looking for a buy. For now, to me, this is a skip. I think it's currently in the middle of nowhere. I would like to see it going lower, and yeah, that's basically it. Okay, can't really add much on lower time frames for this one. Okay, we still have two GBP pairs, and that would be it. We'll go over the indices. Okay, yeah. So on GBP AUD, we have a clean range, up, down, up, down. So obviously we'll be trading the range upper and downward until eventually it's broken. Okay, but for now we'll keep trading the range. We are currently around the lower bound. Obviously we'll be looking for buy setups, just like previously. If you remember here, we were looking for sell setups. For now, that's it. From weekly time frame, we can see it even better. That's a massive support zone. We are currently here looking for this buy. And even if we dive inside a little bit, I'm still looking for a buy unless we break it lower like this. In this case, this would be broken, become a resistance, and then we'll be looking for a trend following sell. But for now, we are playing the range. And of course, from a longer term perspective, we want a break above this for the bulls to take over. Okay, and we'll be looking for a buy here, we'll be looking for a sell here, we'll be looking for a buy here, and so on. Right, you've got the idea, right? So that's it from daily. Long story short, currently here, lower band, looking for a buy, zoom into lower time frames. That's it. Okay, we have a channel, or like if you want a wedge pattern, asymmetric, like anyway, whatever you want to call it. We've got this one as per my trading plan. I'm waiting for this, a new swing high to form here, and a break above both the trend line and the last high, which would be here. Of course, meanwhile, we can still trade lower, form a new dot, right? Oh, sorry, form a new swing high, and then break above it. Okay, this is what I'm waiting for on GBP USD. As long as I'm here, I'm looking for a sell to catch this movement upward, just like previously, multiple times, and vice versa. As we approach this area, I'll be looking for a sell. That's it for GBP JPY, because someone requested this one. On GBP JPY, we are currently here, weekly time frame. We are choppy inside this zone. Okay, we can see it better from daily time frame. That's it. We're looking for buy stops here because we've got multiple rejections from this area, resistance previously, and support multiple times. I was looking for a buy here, unless we finally break below this zone. Okay, in this case, we'll be looking for a sell. But for now, we are still inside this area. We also got this like trend line holding the price upward. That's a supply, just like we saw previously on. Sorry about that. Okay, that's a supply as we saw on many JPY pairs. So as we approach this area, we'll be looking for a sell. Okay, I can't really add much for GP JPY. So that's basically it. And yeah, okay, let me check the comments real quick before we start the indices. Okay, so many comments. I wish I can go over them all. You're more than welcome. I'm happy that you are happy. Silver, I'm sorry, like we can't go over it because like already done with the forex ones. Yeah, I've got many silver requests but yeah, from the same guy, right? No, like from two guys. Like of course, like if you want basically silver follows gold. So if you want, I can take a quick look for it. But like since we went over gold, like let's not spend more time on silver. So that's basically it. Okay, oops, sorry. Before, like I used to use like this kind of blue. Now I'm using this kind of blue, right? So anyway, this is basically it. We rejected this support area 18.5, trading higher, broke this resistance. As you can see, the exact like movement as gold. That's our next resistance. As you can see, multiple rejections from it, and now we'll be looking for a trend following buy, unless exactly just like gold, we break below the standard, right? Then we'll be trading lower to the next support, which is also now a demand zone. Okay, so that's it for silver. Okay, we did it real quick. Yeah, exactly. Like we had like two guys shouting to each other here. Rich, if it's possible to get your rich boom and enrich the indicators, please. Yeah, but you need to purchase them usually from the website. So the website is, let me go for it. It's like richtl.com, okay, which you can see here. You can check it out whenever you can. Okay, so this is basically it. You can surf the website, and this would be it. And like I'm not sure because we had a banner previously here, but like I couldn't find it today to add it to the list. But like if you use the coupon trading nut, which is like simply trading nut like this. Okay, so like if you use the coupon trading nut, you will get $100 off. Okay, so this is basically it. But of course, yeah, you need to check the website, which is this one. Oops, exact opposite. So okay, so richtl.com, like the exact same name that you can see here. Okay. Let me go over the comments real quick before we move forward. Learned to maintain discipline whether winning or losing in trading. Exactly. Can you explain and 30 gold and GBP JPY? I'm sorry, we can't really dive in now. If you have time at the end, yes. That's basically it. USD CAD and AUD USD. I'm not really sure if we can do it because it's already been has already been 1 hour and we didn't go over the. You're more than welcome. We didn't go over the the indices and the crypto ones yet. Okay, but you know what? I look. But actually, like USD CAD is usually the opposite of AUD. So if you do one, like in this case, we would have done both, right? So anyway, let's go over AUD, and you can apply the same logic, but in an opposite way on USD CAD. Okay, so on AUD we are currently here at resistance zone. We can see it better from weekly time frame. Here we go. Okay, resistance, multiple support, multiple times. Okay, now acting as a resistance zone. We previously rejected the support area right here, and it's also lining up perfectly with the lower trend line. Okay, so we looked for a buy here, now looking for a sell here, unless it's broken upward. And on USD CAD, the exact opposite. We rejected a resistance, now around the support. Okay, the exact opposite. Here we go. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so on this is it. On USD CAD, we rejected the resistance. On AUD, we rejected the support. We are currently here. We are currently around the resistance. So if you break it lower, we'll be expecting further movement lower. And on AUD, let's go back to AUD. Okay, so this is basically it. Looking for a sell unless we break above it like this. In this case, we'll be looking for a buy on the retest. We would have now the bearish trend would be broken, and now would be in a bullish trend. We'll be expecting this movement. Okay, just like this, for example, a break above it, retest, we looked for a buy. Okay, so this is what we want: a break, retest, we looked for a buy. Now, meanwhile, since we have a resistance here, we're looking for a sell, right? So basically, I can't really add much for now, except we have a supply here. And yeah, basically that's it. I can't really. Okay, this trend line is from where? From, I guess, from higher time frame, but yeah, this is it. Okay, so this one is from H4. So that's it. So following the overall bearish trend, as mentioned before, unless we break this, then we'll be looking for a buy. For now, we're still expecting this movement. We'll be looking for that setup. Okay, so that's basically it. Waiting, for example, if we get a double top here, okay, that's our last major low right here. Okay, so when we break it downwards, okay, just like here, for example, okay, if we break it downward, we'll monitor here. We'll see if we have any bearish reversal pattern, and yeah, we'll sell. Anyway, it depends on your trading plan. So done for Forex. Let's click the X button, and this is it. Now let's go over Akbar. We went over gold previously. Many requests for gold. Went over gold previously. You can watch the recording when this live session ends. Okay, and yeah, that's basically it. On oil, we'll go over it. We'll go over US30. Fantastic. We'll go over oil. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go over the indices now before we go over the crypto ones. So let's start with US 500. If you zoom in, we can clearly see that we are currently bearish. Yeah, before we start, cheers. So we have our first impulse, correction, second impulse, correction, impulse, and we lately broke above this. So we expected previously, if the bears would remain in control, we would see this movement, right? So as we follow the previous previous patterns, low, broken downward, retested, traded lower, low, broken downward, retested, traded lower, low, broken downward, but that didn't trade lower from here. Okay, instead we broke it upward to test this previous one, okay, which is also now a support and resistance. We've got multiple rejections from it. Okay, like this is where we currently are now. If you go to daily time frame, this is the zone. Okay, anyway, let me make it appear on daily. I don't know why it's not. That's it. And if you want, I'll extend it now. Here we go. Okay, that's our daily one. We also have a supply here, as you clearly see, as we had an aggressive movement down from it. So this area indeed is a strong previous low high, a minus one resistance, a supply zone, and so on. But of course, we can still do a little bit higher than this area, like to trade higher to grab more liquidity and then drive price lower. But anyway, we don't sell blindly. We always zoom into lower time frame. So let's zoom in and see or feel when the bears will take over. Okay, so that's basically it. We are currently bullish. We saw it from daily anyway. If you go to H1 time frame, I can't really add much except that we are bullish. We can now see it in a channel which engulfs the overall movement upward, and this is our last major low from H1. So for the bears to take over here, we need to see a break below this low right here. Okay, which would be around 4079 or 4080. Okay, if we see this, then we'll be expecting further movement downward, or meanwhile, we are bullish, and yes, we can still trade higher and higher as mentioned from daily and weekly. Test this area before maybe break below this last major low, which is about to be form, or we can still break it upwards. Okay, so for now, we can't really know what will happen, but we know that we would be bullish until this low is broken downwards. Okay, because I have a supply zone as well from higher time frames, and you can see the same or a very similar scenario on here we go. Okay, on all indices on weekly time frame on US 100, we've got this previous low that price is retesting now. We broke above this high, but we are currently sitting around this area here. Okay, which is also what lining up. Let me show you. Here we go, lining up with this low right here. Okay, we then have this resistance here, support and resistance, and also the 15K round number. But for now, we are currently here around, let me go 425. Here we go. Okay. If you go to daily time frame, this is basically it, lining up with the upper trend line. That's it. Okay, so now we're expecting this movement. We also got what? We also got this supply zone. Okay, so a supply, previous high low, and the upper trend line. So multiple rejections from this area, unless we break it upward like this. In this case, all these rejection zones or resistance would be invalidated, would be broken, and no longer holding the price down. For now, we are speculating this movement if and only if, again and again, the bears take over by breaking below the previous low, which would be, here we go. Okay, so if we break it lower, we'll be expecting further movement the downward. The first, here we go. If we break it lower, we'll be expecting this movement. Then the first rejection would be here. If broken downward, then here we go. We'll be expecting further movement lower till this area, till around this, if you want. Here we go. Okay, that's basically it. So basically, the indices are around a supply or a resistance or the previous high low from daily and weekly. If you go to S30, very similar scenario. Here we go. Weekly time frame. That's it. Okay, weekly time frame, previous low, high. Here we go. The 33K. Also support and resistance multiple times. If you go to daily time frame, a supply zone here, aggressive movement downward, now around it, which is also lining up with the upper bounds, bearish impulse, correction, bearish impulse. We are currently in this correction, right? Yes, we might still trade a little bit higher before we trade lower. That's why we want extra confirmation on lower time frames. But mainly, we are currently around a resistance, a rejection. That's why we'll be speculating a bearish movement. If you go to H1, that's basically it. This is our last major low. That's it. Here we go. So on US 30, if we see this break, then we'll be expecting further movement lower till this area. Of course, like if you trade it on margin, then this would be it. Okay, entry on the break, stop loss above the previous swing high, which is here for now, and you target a 1 to 2 reward ratio, which would be around the lower band. Okay, That's it for US 30. If you go for GER, yeah, if you remember, like last month, someone requested this one, so we're looking basically for this pattern impulse correction, looking for this one to buy, right? I don't know who exactly requested it. I don't know if you are here now, but like for those who watched the previous one, if you want, you can check the analysis, like from last month. That's basically it. We were looking for a buy because we were around the support zone, multiple rejections from it previously. Here we go, and also a demand zone, since we have an aggressive movement upward from it. So we're looking for a buy. Anyway, from daily, we broke above this previous high right here, which we can see better from H4 time frame. That's it. So we have a trend line broken higher. Now we are bullish. We had this retest here. That's why we zoomed in also to lower time frames and looked for a trend following buy. Okay. Anyway, let's not talk about the past. Okay, we care about the future. Here we go. Let me see from H4. Yeah, from H4. No, it's very steep. Let's skip it. Okay, fantastic. Can't really add much for now except of this trend line. That's it. Offset for it. That's a channel. Okay, and here we go, lining up with the previous low and high. If you go to daily time frame, here we go. We had a gap here, which has been filled right now. Here we go. Okay, so if we break below, then we're expecting further movement downward, or meanwhile, we can still trade higher before we trade lower. If you go to H1, that's basically it. Okay. If you break below this, we'll be expecting further movement downward. Meanwhile, we can still trade higher. For example, like this, form a new swing low before breaking it downward. That's it for GR. US oil, someone requested it. Also last time, if you remember, someone requested the previous two times. Sorry, weekly time frame. We had the 115 and the 100, obviously also a round number. So multiple rejections from this area. We rejected it. We can see it better from monthly time frame. That's it. Okay, so we rejected the zone, trading lower. Now going are bearish. We're approaching what? This zone right here, which is a massive support and resistance area. If you go to weekly, we can also, to daily, we can also see this bullish trend line, like showing us the overall flow or overall movement upward. So as we approach this area, we'll be looking for buy setups. Of course, we're looking for buy setups starting from now, because we've got this high. So this is an entire support zone. Okay, so this zone here, but the lower it gets, the better the setup would be. If you go to H4, we are currently trading inside this this channel. Okay, if you remember previously, we had a wedge pattern, broke it downward, traded lower, bearish. Now we are looking for a buy, right? Knowing that we can still trade lower to test the lower band. Let me read this one to keep it clean. That's basically it. I can't really add much except that here we go. We'll be waiting for this and then a break above it, above the last major high. Okay, but because like for now I don't want to buy here because it would be far away from the support or rejection zone. So I don't want to buy in the middle of nowhere. In fact, it would be around the resistance. So that's our resistance, that's our support. I don't want to look for some trades midway. I want to look for a sell around the upper bound, buy around the lower band. Okay, so this is basically the logic of starting from a higher time frame, so know where you are in the market before you start and look for setups. So anyway, that's it. Waiting for this to happen. Meanwhile, we are bearish on oil. Bearish movements, lower lows, lower highs. So we might trade higher, reject this area, trade lower again before the buyers take over. Okay, that's it. Oops. That's it. Let me check the comments before we go over the crypto market. Okay, multiple questions. Sorry. Yeah, why do you use round numbers, blue line? I'm not really sure about which index you refer to. if you would like, please let me know. Okay. Adiral, I don't know what this means. I'm sorry, like my English isn't that good. So if it is in English, if it's not in English, let me know what does it mean. You are more than welcome, Siva. Happy to see you here today too. UK 100. Okay, we'll go over it really quick. Clicks, you are more than welcome. UK 100, before we go over the crypto ones, let's check it out. UK 100, I guess. Yeah, that's it. I guess I'll go for the first one. Weekly time frame. Okay, let me see if we have more data. Okay, but yeah, it's like it's better than the previous one. Okay, I'll go for this. Maybe Pepperstone. Yeah, Pepperstone is better. Okay, fantastic. So UK 100, like a very obvious one, a supply zone right here, an aggressive movement downward, also a resistance zone, multiple rejections from this area. The 8K would be a massive round number. If you go here to 750, here we go. Okay, so this is a massive resistance zone. Of course, we'll be speculating a bearish movement from here. From weekly time frame, the last major low would be here. Okay, so for the bears to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see this break. Okay, if you break below this, it wouldn't be good. We'll be expecting further movement downward till this area, which is our first rejection demand zone, also lining up with the previous lows right here. Okay, and happens to be around number 550. Okay, 500. Sorry. Okay, that's it for weekly. Meanwhile, as price approaches this area, we'll be looking for a sell, especially that from weekly, this is a supply. We can see it better from daily. Here we go, right? That's a supply zone, that's the entire base. So as we approach this area, here we go. Okay, we'll be looking for sell setups. Just like previously, a supply zone here, we look for a sell on its retest. Just like here, a supply zone here, aggressive movement downward, we look for a sell on the retest. Exactly the opposite, a demand zone here, aggressive movement upward, we look for a buy on the retest. Okay, so now a supply zone here on the retest of it. Like I want price to dive inside it first, because for now we are bullish. We broke above these highs. Okay, so now we are bullish. This is our impulse. As we approach or dive inside it, we'll be looking for a sell. Let me go to lower time frame really quick. Can't really add much. A clean bullish trend. Let me go higher. Fantastic. Okay, just like the one we saw on many many indices, a channel. Here we go. It's more like a wedge pattern if you want. That's it. Okay, let me make it appear on lower time frames on each one really quick. Fantastic. Here we go. Okay, that's the last major low from H1. So if we break it downwards, here we go. We'll be expecting further movement lower, and okay, meanwhile we can trade higher, form like this, dive inside the zone. In this case, we'll be updating our low. This is it. Like no more forex pairs, no more indices. Let's go over the crypto ones. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Let's move forward to the crypto instruments. Let me see where we are. Okay, not this one. Total. Okay, just like we saw with the DXY to feed the overall market, like for forex especially, and of course stock market and so on. I always start with total market cap to feed the overall market for crypto, because like total market cap is like obviously like just like its name, total market cap. So for the entire crypto market, including all the altcoins and Bitcoin. Okay, so that's basically it. If we go to weekly time frame, we have a demand zone right here. We rejected it upward. We are currently in a correction movement. We are bearish, of course, impulse, correction, impulse. We are currently in this correction. In a bearish trend, every bullish movement is a correction. Okay, so now we are in a correction phase. We're expecting a movement higher till this area, which is an intersection of the previous support and resistance now, and also this upper trend line in brown, also a supply zone from daily time frame, and aggressive movement down from here. Okay, which is basically this area here. Okay, meanwhile, of course, we can still reverse from this, from here, but I would like to see it going higher. In this case here, we'll be expecting a bearish movement. For now, we are overall bullish, especially after breaking above this consolidation. We broke it upward. We've got our first impulse, right, responsible of the break, and now we are currently in a bullish trend. Okay, so now in this bullish trend, okay, would be bullish from a medium-term perspective from H4, which would be the correction movement from a higher time frame, just like this one. Okay, so we are currently bullish, and we'll be expecting this bullish movement from here. Okay, so we'll be obviously looking for buy stops after every correction. We'll be looking for a trend following buy until we reach this area. Then we'll be looking for a sell until it's broken upward, or we are now bullish unless this channel is broken downward. Okay, anyway, we'll see it better, we'll see it better when we go over Bitcoin, but this is basically it for the crypto market. From total, we understood that we are bullish from a medium-term perspective in a correction, but of course it's just a correction, and for the bears to take over to start the next impulse, we need to see this break like this. Then we'll be expecting the next impulse movement downward. But for now, let's take it step by step. We are still bullish. Vice versa on USDT dominance, if you go to like total, as you can see, minus 173, right? While if you go to USDT dominance, it's usually exactly the opposite, plus 173. Okay, so that's like, this is how you act, like you understand the market better. Then when, of course, when USDT dominance goes up, total would go down, the crypto market will go down. Anyway, for USDT dominance, we were expecting a rejection from here because we've got a demand zone, and yes, we can still dive inside it before we trade higher. Okay, but that's basically it. Or if we break it downwards, then a movement further lower would be expected till this support and resistance, currently acting as a support zone. But mainly, we've got this demand zone right here, which is still fresh, which price recently filled, and we are expecting this movement upward. And then from a long-term perspective, for the boost to take over, we need to see a break above this. If we break above this, it wouldn't be good at all. That's why, I don't know if you can see it, I have my alert here, because if we break it upward, it wouldn't be good. We'll be expecting further movement upward here, which means we'll be expecting further movement downward in the crypto market. Okay, if you go to H4, this is basically it. We have a falling channel, and yes, even though we have a demand zone here and price is now going up or rejecting it, but we are still inside this bearish trend, so we can still drop it lower like this to test this lower band before trading higher. Okay, so unless we break it higher, break above this high, we can't really say that like the bulls are taking over, especially that I want to break above this zone from a medium-term perspective. So this one would be from a short-term perspective and then medium-term perspective. But for now, anyway, even the short-term perspective is still bearish. Okay, which means like we are still bullish for the crypto market. For Bitcoin, okay, if you go to daily time frame, that's basically it. We broke above this range upwards. We retested it, we traded higher, and we are currently here. So we are stuck inside a range in the shape of a rising channel, so in a flat rising range. Okay, and yeah, the same exact resistance as mentioned previously would be here, with intersection of the 2830K resistance zone. Because if you go to weekly time frame, we go support, and here we go, now acting as a resistance. So if we trade higher, this would be a massive zone where we'll be expecting the next bearish impulse to start from here. Okay, and it's also a supply zone right here from daily time frame, an aggressive movement down from it. So but we are still here now. Okay, so yeah, I'm still expecting some room to the upper side before we finally have the big bearish movement, unless we trade higher like this and we break it upward in an aggressive manner. Okay, so of course, but meanwhile, this would be the intersection of multiple rejection zones, supply, upper trend line, 30K, multiple trend lines here as well. So this area is a massive rejection zone. So I doubt that the price would break it upward like this, right? So of course we'll see some reaction here. Anyway, let's take it step by step for now. We are currently bullish, and now every bearish movement would be a correction where we'll be looking for buy setups as price approaches the lower band. For the lower band, we've got these two trend lines. The first one in red, as you see, a steep channel, and a flat channel, as we can see in green. Okay, so as we approach this area again, we'll be looking for buy setups. That's why, I don't know if you can see it, I have my alerts right here inside this zone. Okay, we previously broke above this. This is like, if you want, a head and shoulders or a high, previously rejected multiple times. Here we go. We broke it upward. We are currently retesting it. So on the retest, this is our impulse. We're expecting a correction, and then the next impulse movement upward. So now we can go for this if you want from lower time frames. For example, on M30. Here we go. We can go for this. We are currently bearish, and we'll be waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above it for the next impulse movement to start. Meanwhile, we can still trade lower and lower as an overextended correction before we trade higher. Okay, so long story short, if you want, we are bullish on Bitcoin from a medium-term perspective. That's why we'll be looking for buy setups from a short-term perspective, unless, of course, we break below this last major low, and of course it would be the support. We break it lower, it wouldn't be good. We'll be trading lower and lower, but for now, this is an entire support zone. Okay, on Ethereum, we've got a very similar scenario. Here we go. We broke above this range upward, we traded higher, we broke above the 1.5K resistance, retested it, now support, traded higher. Now the next resistance would be the 2K. Okay, we also got the supply zone here, so price is currently around this supply, all right? And if you go lower to H4 time frame, I can't really add much, except that we are currently bullish, trading inside this channel. And yes, if we break this one lower, or even if we break this low here, it would be just a correction, because we still got the support area right here. Okay, so even if you break it lower, I'll be personally looking for buy stops around the 1.5, unless it's broken downward, then we'll be expecting further movement downward. And when we reject this area and trade higher, this would be a resistance zone. So as you can see, I can't really add much for now, because we have been trading in the same direction for a while, and then this one was a trend following buy. Okay, so this is basically it for the crypto market. Let me know Ethereum. Yes, we've done it now. One can be sure that we are seriously turning bullish. Yes, nice question. When we are turning bullish, okay, I'll go for Bitcoin and to explain it in a better manner. Okay, for us to be bullish from a long-term perspective and to finally say that we are in a bull run, right, and then we have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, we will need a new major high, right, to form right here or anyway around this entire area. Okay, a major high just like this one, okay, and to form around the trend line, and then a break above it, above the trend line, and above a resistance. Okay, this is what it takes. And the best case scenario would be if this new high would form here, and by breaking it would break all the three at once. Okay, this would be the shift in momentum. This would be last major high broken upward. So for now, the last major high is here. Okay, so for now, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the 32K Okay, this would signal that the buyers are taking over. But if we form a new major high, then this would become the new one. Okay, so we've got two possible scenarios. The first one is we form an equal low or a higher low, right, and then break it upward. The second scenario is if we trade higher, make a deeper impulse movement, a lower low, and then we'll be waiting for this, and this. Okay, then the bulls will take over here. So basically, you want a major high to be broken upward and a resistance and the trend line which is engulfing the overall bearish trend. Okay, that's basically it. Sure, we'll go over XTZ. Yeah, USD JPY, like we already went over at the start, so now when we end the session you can watch the recording and you can see it. Okay, XTZ. Okay, let's go over XTZ. If no requests for crypto instruments pop up, this would be it. XTZ, let me see if I have it on my list or not. Okay, let me remove these ones. Here we go. We've got a support here around 1.3 or like 1, also a very strong round number. That's why you see my alert here around the 1, which is a strong round number. And you have also my alert here around the 2.1, okay, which is what a support and resistance zone, right? And also lining up with the previous high, which you can see here. So if you zoom into daily time frame, this is it. Just like previously, this channel movement downward, and this is our last major high for now. Okay, this is why you see my alert right here. If you break it higher, then the bulls will take over, or meanwhile we can still form a new swing high and then break it upwards, just like I showed you on Bitcoin. Okay, now every bullish movement is a correction before the bearish movement starts. Bullish movement, bearish impulse. Bullish movement, now we're expecting a bearish impulse before we finally break it higher. Okay, so long story short, for XTZ, for Tezos, I would like to see a break above the last major high and this trend line, the two resistance zone, to finally say that we are bullish. Okay. Okay, so this would be it. Like we had a session, a long one today, like 1 hour and 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. You are more than welcome, everyone. Whatever you have any questions, feel free to write it in the comment section of this video. I would keep an eye on it as well for those who are watching like the video and are not live. And sure, you are more than welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. I really appreciate it. And no, like we do this once every month. So like hopefully next month in September, I will go live again here on Trading Nuts. Okay. Fantastic, Polo. Happy to see you happy. The great. Happy to see you happy. So this would be basically it, and I see you hopefully next month. Okay. Bye bye, everyone.